Hey tubers, been having some computer problems. I've got my mother loaned me the money to order me another one. I've got my pension money on the way to get her paid back for that, but this video has been recorded long before I got it posted, so sorry I was gone so long. What I want to do today on my 77 Beetle, I've got a miss in it. I'm not sure where it's coming from. When I bought the car, I haven't driven it much at all because of the miss. If there's a valve too tight, I could be losing compression on that cylinder. May have a burnt valve, I don't know, but I don't really start with hard things, you know, when I want to diagnose a problem. One of the obvious things I need to do, since I just bought the car and it's got a little bit of a miss in it, is I'm going to do a full tune-up on it. I'm going to pull the plugs, see if they need replaced or just cleaned. I can throw them in the sandblaster and clean them. If they're decent, I can put new plugs in it. One thing, let me just show you real quick before I get into this. In going through the valve adjustment, I think I've showed you before in my videos, but when I find something that is what I think may be helpful to other Volkswageners, I want to throw it out there. You may already have one of these, but I made this starter switch, so that way what I do, this is just a momentary switch. I've got some 12 gauge primary cable here. On this end I've got an alligator clip on this side, so I can go right to my battery post, or not my battery post, but the on the starter where my main battery lead goes in. I get hot off of that. This, I plug it into the solenoid where the normal switch goes. I just take the switch wire off and plug this. That's just a regular old female connector, solderless connector. So anyway, that I can, when I get under the Volkswagen, I have the valve cover off, I can roll it around the top dead center and adjust the valves all the way around. I've got enough length on this that I can do both sides of the car. This is, I'd say, 3.5 feet long, maybe, I don't know. But you can buy these, you know, you can buy these switches just for that, but they're a little expensive, and I'd rather spend my money on parts than on tools if I can. So that's, I made this up, I probably got $5 in the whole thing, you know. So anyway, that's just a little tip. We'll go ahead and get started on what we're going to do with this old Beetle. Let me show you. Alright, I've got it all jacked up. We're going to put a new distributor cap on it. We're going to put new plug wires on it. These are kind of cheapies. It could be a bad plug wire even, but the cap's got lots of wear on it. Rotor button. Now this ignition system that's on here, it's got the electronic ignition on it, so I don't have to check my points or anything like that, points and condenser. You can see the rotor button here, plenty of wear on that. It's actually worn, it's worn a groove in it. I don't know if the camera is really going to pick all that up or not, but it's filthy. A lot of carbon and stuff in here. So alright guys, let's start with this valve adjustment here. Okay, may get a little bit of oil leak in. Not sure how full this was. Not too bad, not too bad. You know, somebody really took pretty good care of this car. You can see by the shape of the heat exchangers, there's no rod or anything like that. All underneath of it is pretty solid, you know. Not bad at all, not bad at all. But let's go forward here, and we'll roll it around, bump it around with the starter until, you know, one way on these Volkswagens, your intake valves are in the center, okay? Your exhaust valves are on the outside here. What you want to watch for is that intake to go down, intake stroke, back up on compression, okay? That's where you know when you're on top dead center, you know it goes intake, compression, power, exhaust. So you want both of these closed, okay, when you do this. So let's get started with that. Okay guys, what you want to do when you adjust these valves, got it on top dead center, okay? We're going to break the torque on it. Okay, back it off, and you want to make sure that you have some leeway. Okay. Alright, we got that good and loose. Now, I still mine at 6 thousandths. Both valves. Okay, you want to get that where it has some drag on it. See? Got good drag on my feeler gauge. Okay, what we want to do now, hold this still. Don't let it move. Run your nut down. Okay? Just run your wrench. Run your screwdriver through your wrench. I hope I'm doing okay with the camera shots and you can see what I'm doing. It's I'm a little cramped for room here. Hold it still with the screwdriver and snug your nut down tight. That's good. Then you do your other one the same way. Now after I do these two, I'm going to use my my tool to roll the ignition around with, the switch. Do the same thing, wait for intake to go down, come back up, and I bump it just a little bit while it's up on compression. That way I know I've got both of these valves at top dead center. And that's pretty straightforward, you know. After I'm done with this side, I'll throw my valve cover on, put the bail back over it, and I'm done. And then I'll go and do the other side. Okay guys, I started on this other side. It looks to me like this engine's had some work done on it. It looks like somebody may have put a new head on this side over here. Everything is just really, really super clean. The guy never mentioned anything like that when I bought it, but who knows? Who knows? Really different situation over here. You can see on the other side where it had been leaking oil all over the heat exchanger. I'm hoping that, you know, as good a shape as this body's in on this car, and as good a shape as the heat exchangers are in, that hoping I can actually have some good heat in this car. That's where it's all at. You know, the heater channels and the heater boxes, that's where the heat is in these things. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this side adjusted, and we'll move on to the other parts of the ignition system here that need attention. Alright guys, these Volkswagens are, one thing about it for sure is when you want performance, you're going to have to sacrifice a little bit. For example, with these dual carbs on here, they're awesome improvement concerning performance, but the downside is trying to do things like change spark plugs. This is my spark plug is over and back here on this air horn. You can't see it from the camera angle, but this air horn is this deep, which I'm having to take my hand over and around to get to this plug. Plus what I have to do to tighten this thing up, I need to be able to work my ratchet. I'm going to throw my ratchet down through here and try to tighten this plug up. But in order for me to work my ratchet, I've got to take this off right here. This is the throttle linkage on the carburetor. So I'm going to get back to work on that. Just to let you know, I've already taken the air filter off. It stands this tall. It gave me a little bit of room to work this way, but you know, it's just the way it is. I had to take this hose goes down to my heat exchanger to blow the hot air through. I had to take it off, so it takes a little bit longer to get anything done. But you know, to me the performance is worth it. But if you want to put dual carbs on a Beetle, you're going to have a little bit of trouble, you know, doing things like changing spark plugs and stuff like that. Alright guys, looking at these plugs, they don't look bad at all. Really, I've just been going ahead and taking them out and sandblasting them and checking the gaps, but I'm pretty happy. I haven't seen any oil fouling or anything like that. No signs of it running too rich, but anyway, I've got this one and one more to do, so I'm just going to carry on, and we'll. One thing I did find with the where I said it had just a little bit of a lope, kind of felt like a miss. You know, I'm sure you guys being mechanics, you've watched an engine miss how it kind of lopes along. The carburetors, they had as far as syncing the idle on each carb, it was way off. I'm going to try to adjust that and see if we can get it to run a little smoother. Now the guy said that it did have an Engel 110 cam in it, so it may have a little natural lope, but this wasn't so much a natural lope. It was more like a miss. And if you're familiar with performance cams and so on and so forth, you know what I'm talking about. You can recognize it. So anyway, I want to get this plug cleaned up right here, get it gapped, and then I'll do the last one, and we'll see what we can do about getting a new distributor cap, rotor button, and new wires on this thing. Alright, tubers, I'm going to go ahead and throw the our new rotor button on here, okay, and we're going to get our distributor cap. First, I'm going to, before I get a bunch of stuff there in the way, I want to go ahead and run my new wires, just kind of get them a little where they go. Go ahead and shove my pull wire in here. Okay. Now you've got, on these you've got a longer pair and a shorter pair. Okay. The longer pair goes on this side. The distributor's closer to here. So take your shorter pair and get them over here. Okay. We'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to have to sneak this right around here. Now we'll take the longer pair and run it right back under the alternator. Alright guys, in true VolksUberWorks Foreman fashion, I've used started using the flagship colors. This is the standard color on all the Volkswagen distributor caps and whatever, but I just plugged off the inside with some little pieces of shop towel, you know, those disposable ones, and we're going to throw this on. You got your notch here. It lines up with the notch on your distributor. Go ahead and get it on first. Alright, there we go. Now number one always points here, okay? So you take your number one spark plug wire, put it on number one. And in case you're not that familiar, maybe you're a new Volkswagener, don't know, but as always, firing order 1, 4, 3, 2. So it's going in this clockwise, you know, going clockwise. It's 1, 4, 3, and 2. So we'll get it wired up, get it on the ground, fired up, and see if we've made any headway. I'm going to start with the, you know, the green and orange. That's VolksUberWorks flagship colors. I'm going to start in with that, you know. Maybe this winter pull this engine out. There's a lot I want to do. Like I said before, I want to get a remote oil cooler. And I also want to get the oil filter on here. To get this, I just do not think that you should run an engine without an oil filter. It's not running hot or anything, but in the summer this is a pretty cramped engine compartment, and if you want to go putting bigger jugs on these engines, you need to cool them more. You know, you're producing a whole lot more heat and compression with those bigger pistons and cylinders and so on and so forth. So I'm doing fine right now as far as the temperature wise, but later definitely I want to put a bigger engine in this thing, and we'll have to cool that down. So I'm going to go ahead with the oil cooler and the oil filter on this. Alright guys, I got it idling a lot better than what it was. It's never going to idle really smooth with the cam that's in it, but I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty happy with the way it's running right now. It's got plenty of power and running out real good. So I'm gonna wrap this up and I'll talk to you guys later.